Hello everyone and welcome to 3 Wide TV for tonight's presentation of the 2024A Weekend Woodsman Series, OSCA Weekend Woodsman Series. Dang, already screwed up. We're here at Suzuka Circuit for the Binx Designs 120 here. It's a bit of a different format tonight. We have a sprint race followed by a feature race. I'm Nathaniel Sherry alongside Trevor McNeil, Vic Bloom, and Carlos Acosta. We hope you're ready for an awesome night of road course racing. No rain tonight. I know everybody might have been excited for that potential ability, but not happening tonight as far as I know. But we're going to see some great racing tonight. And Trevor, you're new in the booth. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What are you doing here?
That's a great question. I just had a friend of a friend. It's like, hey, you like racing and you commentate. Do you want to do both of those things? And I said, yes, I do. So here I am. I'm excited to see what this league has to offer. I've been spending the last week just going through all the VODs and all the old races and seeing what this league has been up to for the last couple of years. And I'm pretty excited for what we have in store.
We're excited to have you. A new face in the booth is always fun to see that new dynamic. I think they're watching. Is that Dallas Myhan right now going around?
Yes, that is.
Yes, it is. So the qualifying is just getting started right now. It is not grid qualifying this time like it has been the first couple of weeks of the season. It gives the drivers a couple chances to get their tires up to temperature and put down the best laps possible. As we take a look here at the driver's standings, after 2 weeks or 4 halves, Neil Rutt still leads, which is quite surprising. No offense, Neil, but it's really nice to see him up there. We'll see if he can continue that good run to start the season. Tyler McIntosh and Dylan Thomas, along with Vincent Isabella, Austin Beers, and Jake Scarborough, have all broken the 100 marker, and they're all chasing him down. Look a bit farther down, you have Dustin Dewar, Darren Stapp rounding out the top 12. And lurking just outside, you have Tristan Millette, Gilberto Javier Gamera, Matt Hackerthorn, Zach Evans, and Kyle Carlson. So obviously we're only 2 weeks into the season. We've only done one, as we would call, real racetrack. And then even this week, it's a road course, so who knows what this is going to be looking like afterwards.
Yeah, especially with the fact that you have a lot of people who probably won't have as much experience in these road courses. And I mean, seeing right here, watching my hand go around, there is going to be a lot of tire usage very quickly as these guys go around. And it's going to be curious to see who's going to be able to take care of their tires. Because like you said, with the sprint in the first half and the feature in the second, sure, you might want to burn them all up in the first, just get those points out of it. But that second half is going to be the real test for these guys to see who's going to come away with some good points and make up those standings so they don't want to be on the outside looking in.
And you bring up a good point there about the sprint, how they will not have to make a stop. We think they can go about 14 laps on fuel. So it's not going to be a necessity to pit in the first half, which means, yeah, you could just go full out, but towards like lap 10, lap 11, lap 12, the people who have saved their stuff, those are going to be the people that rise to the top at the end. We're still waiting for our first times here, so we get a look at Zach Evans. Look at the focus behind those eyes.
Maybe we should make some picks.
You know what? That's a great idea. I completely forgot about that. Trevor, I think you're up first.
Yeah, I was really not looking forward to being the one that had to go first. I was hoping to see some times pop up here. And because I'm flying pretty blind here, based off of what I saw from the results out of the last 4 road courses, I should be ready for this. I want to take Gavin. I'm going to take the 1 for the first half. Do I have to do both halves now?
Nope, just 1.
No.
Okay. All right, I'm going to take the 1.
All right, Carlos, you're up next.
Oh boy, so it has not been a good opening weeks for me. I'm not gonna lie, it's been a little depressing. Daytona was a wash, and unfortunately, a couple issues on the second race that were out of my hands. This week though, I'm gonna go with a driver who is still relatively new to OSCA, but I've seen him wheel a couple races here and there, and he is fast. I'm gonna go with the 57 for my half 1 pick. 57 of Richard Garcia, I should say. I apologize.
So Goody sent me his picks for the night, and well, the 1's taken for half 1, so he's gonna go with the 7 of Ray Bruce.
Ah, come on, Goody.
I know, even when he's not here, he's still causing trouble. Up next is you, Cherry.
Well, I have to think now. Let's go with Ray. You know what? He's just filling in for Tim Conrad this night, and he was really fast in practice, so I'm going to go with the safety valve and go with Ethan Stanley here, number 35.
Right on. So the drivers, it was pretty unanimous who they wanted. They wanted Ethan Stanley, but they can't get him.
Haha.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So they're gonna get their second best pick, and they're gonna get Vincent Isabella. They're gonna get the 8 car.
That's a good pick as well.
And you know, I don't know who I'm gonna pick. I usually have an idea of who I want. I have no idea who I want. That's my problem. So, you know, I gotta go with making his season debut tonight, though. I'm gonna go with the 20 car of Zach Rogers.
Zach Rogers. He's usually very consistent. That could be a bit of a sleeper pick if something goes awry at the front.
It's not. I'll be honest. It wasn't the pick I wanted. But
I'm a little surprised nobody went with race 2, half 1 or heartbreak. Half 2 heartbreak. Kynan Jones, who looked like he was possibly in prime petition to get that first win of his career.
Man, I
Also has-
in my mind, Carlo.
Yeah,
Me too.
has an in-car camera and has graciously provided some very personal information. We got the elusive heart rate monitor on the stream.
Oh boy.
I was giving Kynan a hard time in the Discord this week because he was saying that their heart rate was higher than my heart rate gets when I'm going for runs and I'm training for a marathon right now. So that's a bit concerning.
What
Well,
was
the-
that screenshot? Like 175 or something?
Yeah, someone should remind that kid to breathe.
You have to remember that it's not in freedom units, like we handle it here.
it doesn't matter.
Australian minutes, it's different.
I swear, something is either set up incorrectly with the heart monitor or it's not calibrated correctly, because that's way too high. And Kynan, he's a relatively fit-looking young man, so it doesn't really.
Lots of pressure.
I'm gonna tell you right now, it's actually completely accurate.
Is it?
What?
It is
The
completely
heart rate
accurate.
monitor?
When he races, his heart beats super quick. I only know this because I've done endurance races with him, and there's times where his microphone will pick up his heartbeat, and you can hear it.
That's insane.
It's crazy.
I guess when I first started out iRacing when I was like 14, 15, I was like leading an NIS race, I would get super excited, my heart would go a bit quicker, but like, man, that just seems absurd. 170? Yeah.
The only time my heartbeat ever got that high was the time that Dale Jr. wrecked me in a dirt street stock race.
Well, you were just excited.
That's fair.
It was a lot of excitement. I was really happy with
Honored to be turned
Yeah,
by Dale Jr.
exactly.
Yeah.
My heart beats like crazy just thinking about going down the stairs.
Oh, jeez.
I'm not a fit dude.
That's okay. Well, qualifying is just about to wrap up here. We have 40 seconds left. Vic, are they going to have enough time if they're on a lap to finish it, or is it just going to cut them off here?
that. It'll cut them. It'll be like
All
normal.
right.
It'll cut them off.
All right,
I
so right
think.
now,
No,
right,
it's a road race. So they actually have 30 or so seconds. Or is
I don't
that
remember
still
how
the
it works.
original timer?
I'm
I
not
have
sure.
no idea.
Well, there's still 15 seconds left in the original timer right now as we speak.
Oh no. Then I think you're right. Then I think it will cut them off.
Yeah, because I know Ryan Gavel's setting a personal best right now, but I don't think he's going to have time to make it all the way around because he is the only one that really has a chance of catching Ethan Stanley. Ethan Stanley currently with a 2:08.1.
Yeah, no, that's it.
Sitter, and yep,
Yep.
that did cut them off. So a quick one here. It's a 12-lap race. I believe Vic has gone to, yes, he's gone to run the driver meeting. So what do you expect to happen here going into turn 1, Trevor? Do you think it's going to be calamity, or are they going to play nice in the sandbox?
You know, based off of some of the content that I've seen, everybody will come out on comms and say, lap 1, turn 1. Okay, let's just everybody play cool, be nice. I'm expecting pedals to the floor and no one's lifting until they see checkers or God. That's just, we're going into
You've
turn
used
1.
that a
It's
couple
chaos. It's
times.
chaos. Yeah.
All right, we're looking here at our starting lineup. As I mentioned, Ethan Stanley on pole. Ryan Gavel joins him on the front row, along with Richard Garcia, Carlos's pick, and Ray Bracey, Goody's pick in fourth. So, and you picked Gavel, right?
Took the one.
McNeil?
Yep.
Yeah. So our picks are all up there. Kynan Jones, as we mentioned, that heartbreak last week. Maybe he can find something this week. Maybe he can finally catch that win that he's been looking for. James Watson in 6th, I beg your pardon. Ty McIntosh 7th, Drew Eisman 8th, Darren Stepp 9th, and Dylan Thomas rounds out our top 10.
It is reassuring to see a lot of these names actually align with what results I was seeing based out of the last couple of years and who I was expecting to make my picks for coming up on this one. So based off what I'm seeing here, I feel like maybe I might have a decent understanding of how this field's going to play out. But of course, with a little bit of rubbing and racing on this one, I'm hesitant, but based off of how well some of these guys have been doing, how well they have been running, you're probably going to see a couple of these cars start to pull away from everybody else, and then the rest of it is just good luck. Sort yourselves out.
Oh, do we have a penalty already?
I think James Watson is going to the rear.
By the way, continue with the starting lineup from 13th, guys.
All right, Zach Rogers is starting at 13th. I think we are going green right here. Or no, we're getting a lap. I'm not sure. So we'll go quick here. Austin Beers in 15th. A couple other notable names. You have Zach Evans 17th. Myhan in 21st. Caden Tufts 22nd. Jake Scarborough 24th. Jake Scarborough did win half 2 of Daytona. And we're going green right now.
Wow.
So not much time. The back of the field is not caught up to the front of the field at all here. So that's going to be a bit of a disadvantage for those from folks about 18th on back. And I believe the green flag has dropped.
Green flag's out.
All right. Took a while to get going here, and we're going to shovel off into turn 1. Stanley gets a good jump, and he will lead the field down at the turn 1.
See how they can handle it coming through the corners out of this. You already see Wester Green out there. A little pass through to come through, but single file for the most part. Relatively calm. A couple of cars too wide in places, but nothing too crazy, nothing too exciting yet. And this is based off of the numbers from practice and the qualifying times, about what you expected. 35 in the 1. Started to distance a little bit from the rest of the gap. You just got to hope you can stay in the draft. Make sure your corners are clean. Stay with these leaders.
It's kind of like watching Max Verstappen on a Sunday in F1. You're just hoping that you can stay in that 1 second range and get a bit of help on the straights. And it's already pretty single file all the way through the field here. I'm surprised. You see Austin Beers on the outside of Zach Rogers at the moment, though. But other than that, it's pretty much just everybody's biding their time. I wonder if that tire saving is already coming into play for some of these drivers.
Yeah, we'll start to see in the long run as well how that's going to start to shake out with these guys. You know, who's going to be actually shifting their gears and getting that extra wheel spin in these corners. As you see 52 there losing a little bit coming out of that one, but it's just watching these guys to see what their wheel usage is going to be. How much of these tires are they going to burn up in the first few laps? Like you mentioned, this very quick sprint here in the first one. Don't necessarily need to pit if they need it, unless something happens and blow out a tire. But out of this one, it's just going to be a very quick run, trying to stay up, trying to stay relevant in this race.
It's all just about buying time, being patient. I know Gavel sees Stanley in front of him, but like you said, gotta be careful here, because if you go too quick, too fast, it's gonna be very painful at the end. Yeah, right now it's pretty tame right now. I'm very surprised, honestly. I know if I was in there, I'd be trying to make all the moves I can right now, and then try and play as a blocker for the rest of the race.
Now, one thing I didn't pay attention to when I was doing a lot of the VOD reviews, looking at this league, how much of an alliance and allegiance do these guys actually have to their car manufacturers?
Manufacturers, not at all. Teammates, maybe a little.
Right. That's kind of what I figured.
Yeah. Depends on who it is as well. Some of these teams work a bit tighter together than others, and some of them are kind of just like go out there and race. See a couple passes deeper in the field here. Vincent Isabella trying to make his way around Thomas Capuano.
Thomas Capuano just had a furled black flag, so you have to give up a couple spots there.
Oh man, a bit early for that already.
By the way, for those that are not familiar, that just means that the driver cut the corner a little bit, and they have to slow down for X amount of seconds.
Looks like that's all clear, and he's good to get back going on his way here. Stanley is starting to separate himself from Gavel more and more, but Garcia is right there on Gavel. So I wonder if that's a battle we're actually going to be watching as this race goes on.
Yeah, it's staying pretty close to each other. And of course, you mentioned no rain here. That's going to be included in this one. Partly cloudy skies for this. And with the invert of 22, it's all a mental mind game where, you know, are you going to be the one that burns up your tires? Are you going to be the one that just sits back and waits and plays patience to actually have a chance to strike at the opportune time? But I'm with you, man. I feel like I'm out here, I'm driving, and I want to be up in that position where I'm holding on to this, and I'm not sitting back and waiting for someone to make a mistake.
It's easier to be in control, even if your tires are going to be hurting a bit more. You can make your car wide, especially at a track like this, which is honestly quite narrow, and especially in like the S's, like there's only really one line that you can go. So as long as you park your car in the right spot, you're going to be in a good position. And you can see there the top 10 are really spread out, almost covering the entire straightaway now. Entire front stretch, that is, sorry. Yep. We have a move here. That is Darren Stapp making a move on Dylan Thomas for 7th place. Oh, and we got Austin Beers going around there. I don't know if he had any help. I wonder if we can get a look at that here. 3Y TV replay. I don't hear anything on the mic.
He's been able to keep it straight, though. We'll see coming out of this corner. A little bit of a love tap coming out of this, or just loses the grip on it.
Oh, I think he caught that curve and made it into the grass.
Yep, no help.
Just trying to drive a bit too hard, a bit too soon.
Got it straightened out. Got this on the green.
I'm pretty sure we don't have full course cautions off of this. Do we? Oh my gosh, Dallas.
Oh. Whoopsies.
Oh, he almost backed up into the field. Man. So a couple spinners we have. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure we just have the local cautions. That's okay, Trevor. We didn't tell you.
It's interesting. Only a few laps, we're already seeing some of this tire wear really hit some of these people. I mean, you see them coming out of these corners, and they're sliding a lot. So, based off of this, I'm very excited to see the adjustments that these guys make over not only just the next 10 laps of the conservation of these tires, but also for that second half where you have more of that feature, and you start to put in these pit strategies to see who's going to take their tires, when are they going to take them, and how is this going to change their approach to that second half? Are they going to drive as hard, or if they're not driving hard, are they going to go really for it?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I wonder if you're going to see enough of a tire fill up, as you mentioned with it already, starting to impact some of these drivers, where while they don't have to, I wonder if a two-stop becomes viable. I wonder if you're going to gain that much of a time difference. Because we already have Gavel and Stanley both running about a second slower than they were at the start of the race, and we're only 4 laps in. So 22 laps might be long enough that you might see a couple people try it.
Stanley's put up almost another 3/4 of a second on the one car now. But still watching a lot of these single file races, just a casual pass here and there, but nothing too crazy. No one's feeling too frisky.
Yeah, just some close following as we're looking right now on the 3x TV multicam. We have McIntosh, Thomas, and Carlson all in a tight little group here, but nobody's really making a move on anyone. They're just kind of waiting for someone to make a mistake, which you mentioned earlier, which is why you want to be in front, because sometimes that mistake won't come.
Drivers playing the waiting game as much as we are, waiting for something.
Waiting for something to talk about. Oh, Ty almost, he might have done a bit of a crossover on Thomas there, but I think he drove it in a bit too deep and he had to slow down. I'm still watching these top 3 here on my screen. There's a couple times that Garcia's looked at Gavel, but I don't think he's going to be able to pull anything off. Is that smoke I see, or is that just a lockup? Oh, and Capuano's
there
around.
It goes. Yep. Only lost that one coming out of that corner.
Oh,
Get it
man.
straight back out.
Right into the wall.
That's not great. The arrows.
Now we'll get a better look at this here. think he just got on the loud pedal a bit too hard.
Yeah, you see some lockup in front of him too out of the 8. So just maybe a little bit reactionary as well to that position, but unfortunately just couldn't hold on to it coming through and trying to whip it back around. Yeah, a little love tap on that wall.
No, I've been guilty of that a couple times whenever I'm racing. Well, I'll see somebody make a mistake in front of me and I'll get too excited, and then I'll make an even worse mistake. See Stanley here still leading by about a second and a half. The gap has started to kind of neutralize. We'll see if Gavel can maybe pull it in here as the laps tick down.
Garcia's lurking right there as well. That 57 hasn't really lost a lot, hasn't really gained a lot. You see the intervals right there, and pretty well similar to the laps, but as you mentioned, that lap time starting to fall off a little bit here because of the tire wear. A couple seconds being lost out of this one, but the top 5 cars realistically were the only ones that were running sub 210s, and now that they are running 210 plus, you imagine what that's going to do to the other 25, 30 cars that are now, instead of running 210s, running 212s, 13.
Yeah, I saw a couple 215s in there as well. I'm wondering if Stanley made a mistake on that last lap. Oh, geez, speaking of 15, off track again. Because Stanley all of a sudden dropped the second 210, and now he's already gained 3/10 again this lap. So I wonder if he made a mistake on that previous lap.
Could have. Slip up there.
Oh,
These guys are fighting it, coming around these corners.
Gavel's definitely starting to deal with some oversteer off of corners.
Yeah.
Side here of Garcia's car. It's like a shark hunting down a school of fish.
This is the driver that's just in position waiting for a mistake to be made by the one car in front of him. See a little bit of opportunity through some of these corners, through the hairpins, where there's a little bit less downshifting, more just kind of coasting into it and waiting for an opening to come up down low, but still hasn't seen it yet. Garcia's just in this position, ready and waiting for one of these 2 cars up here to make a mistake.
And as you mentioned, though, he almost made a mistake there himself. Got a bit too much curve there, as we saw with Capuano.
Yeah,
you want to be careful that when someone makes a mistake in front of you, you don't pounce too quickly there. Oh, and I guess something's happening with Stanley in the second half of the lap, because that's where they gained all that time back and more some. Gavel was actually 4/10 quicker that time.
Interval showing it too, less than 1.2 seconds now, starting to get it. You mentioned that second half of the lap is where it starts to close, and you see these numbers slowly start to trickle up. Stanley's trying to get some, but this is, again, these top 3 cars right now just in a world of their own, and then everybody else in the field fighting for their own positions.
You know who I feel bad for? Look at the relative. Ray Bracy is running his own race.
Out there flying solo.
I hate to make another F1 reference, but it's like Max Verstappen during that COVID season, where it was the 2 Mercs, him, and then everybody else.
Yeah.
He's just running his own little race there.
Ray Bracy does not have his in-car camera tonight, unfortunately.
He's probably just, he got his feet up, probably drinking a beer. He's, there's not much going on around him.
Yeah, don't have to worry about any cars in front of you spinning, any cars behind you spinning you. Just out there driving.
Yeah. I'm interested to see here. I want to get a closer look what's going on in the second half of this lap. I wonder if Gavel and Garcia are just a bit braver on the brakes going to these final sets of corners, and that's why they're gaining time in the last half of the lap, because the last half of the lap is all just straights, but that's where they gained it last time. Darren,
battle. Back and forth. Someone's got to give.
It's a tough track to run side by side on for the entirety of it.
Apple's on position. And now on the bumper. Trying to make a move right back.
That's a bold move on the outside here, going to the final chicane. Oh, and he makes it stick.
Wow.
Wow.
Keeping it close. It's a honorable effort there, at least, to try to take that one back. Unfortunately, just dumping all the speed coming out of these corners. Now just looking at the code red fade away into the sunset.
I just appreciate them giving us something to talk about.
Makes you feel like we're just watching a 1.5-mile track at any other raceway. Just watching all these cars just start to spread out, space out.
Yeah.
Not seeing any lap traffic come through just yet, but
I
at least get a little bit.
any in the sprint race, but definitely we should get some in the next race.
Yeah, over the feature. Almost lost that one coming out of that corner. Getting a little loose, getting a little wiggle. Kynan Jones getting underneath that bumper, trying to take his position back now. But again, lost that speed. Had to check up.
They're not careful. Tyler McIntosh is starting to lurk a bit there too. That he'd be looking to get involved in that battle. Ryan Jones trying to set up something on Darren, but Darren's parking his car really well right now.
And looks like Kynan's really trying to drive it into the corner, stay on the accelerator as long as possible, and just try to close that gap going into the corners. Unfortunately, he's getting burned coming out of that one. Not really allowing the opportunity to maintain that proximity. Like you mentioned, McIntosh back there in the 95, just waiting for one of these two to do something a little overzealous.
Still keeping an eye on that gap up front. Once again, Gallo's actually pulled in a bit this lap. They're teasing us. We're thinking we might get a battle here, but I don't know if it's going to come to fruition.
Yeah, the difference in the interval up top is now where you see Garcia has fallen back a couple of seconds off of that one car and Gavel's second place. So starting to get a little bit of spacing up there. Gavel's kept it pretty consistent for the course of the first half dozen laps that we've had here, but 5 to go coming through this one. Going to be a point where something has to give, something's got to go if Gavel's going to want to try to take away this first half win. I would love that personally. Not that I have anything.
You want to come in here and
this,
you want to come in here and pick the winner, and then just that's it. You're done. One for one.
Retire on top. Might as well.
Looking at Kynan Jones here, the heart rate's doing a bit better this week.
Yeah.
130. Yeah. Oh, Darren Stapp goes wide there. We'll see if Kynan can set up a move.
Couple of seconds of fall off here from these lap times. You see the best at 2:10, last 2:12.4, almost a 2:12.5. So certainly losing the time here as these tires are wearing down. But just watching, and of course you have the difficulty of looking at the Mountain Dew in front of you. Just cannot get around Darren. Like you said, it just parked it right there. Kynan can't get the gap, cannot close this one, can't get past. These two just forever locked in a battle.
Also, did we mention? Oh, Darren. Did we mention the beautiful Sakura leaves inspired paint scheme that Kynan Jones has today?
Yes, it looks fantastic. Just another thing to bring up here that I don't think we've actually mentioned to Trevor yet. So there is an invert after the sprint race. It's a 22 car invert. So that means that these people that are battling up front right now, we will have something exciting to talk about in the next race. They're going to have to work their way up.
That invert is going to make things very interesting because we've seen just how much faster these guys are outright, and now we're going to be able to watch them try to drive through traffic. You see Darren here in car. He's going to get passed by Kynan, who takes it off track a little bit there. He's going to take it right back. Side by side.
And just like the last time they're side by side in that corner, it looks like Darren's going to prevail. Oh, spoke too soon. They make contact. They touch. Tyler McIntosh. Oh, he gets net coated. Oh no. Oh wow. Man, there was a lot of action. There was a lot of that was net code. I know. I hear Ty angry on the mic here, but that was just unlucky. And just like now, we're basically just back to square one. Only now it's the land shark, Kynan Jones, in front of Darren Stapp.
Yeah,
we'll get a look at this here.
This replay we'll watch. And we talked about this, McIntosh waiting for one of these two to make a mistake. The mistake is made, and then just gets, Man,
that's so unlucky. That's massive. Oh, man, who was that, Carlson?
Yeah, Carlson. That is And tough break. You're just waiting on one of the drivers in front of you to make a mistake. They do. McIntosh tries to strike at the opportunity. Unfortunately, gets bad into that one.
Yeah, just wrong place, wrong time. Not even really wrong place, wrong time. Just some net code.
Ooh, Carlson. Yeah.
Carlson had nowhere to go.
Fortunate on that. But yeah, McIntosh and
Carlson does have a meatball flag, by the way.
Carlson has a meatball. Oh, man. Four to go here, and just pointing out that Gavel is now 3 seconds back.
Yeah, that's cool. Quite the distance Stanley's starting to put on this, but like you mentioned with that invert, I mean, it's going to see, watching these guys drive through traffic is going to be very interesting.
So I don't think they can spare the benefit of saving tires. They're going to have to go. It's going to be go time right away.
Peeler off course into the gravel there.
We have a couple people just sitting in the pits here. It looks like Rashid Cole and Dallas Myhan have called it a night for this sprint race.
Yeah, unfortunately there, just can't quite keep up. We saw some of these lap times Cole's putting in 15, 20 seconds slower than what these leaders are running. And granted, these leaders are in a league of their own right now. Just unfortunate they're Peeler getting off track, having this one.
How who we quietly haven't talked about is guys still running fifth, and he's actually right on top of Ray Bracey now. So we might have a battle for a fourth place developing here in these final laps. Neil Rutt make a move. He got loose. Oh man, way to keep that out of James's car.
Wow.
That would have been bad.
Yeah, that's starting to bunch up here. Knowing that don't have a whole lot of opportunities left to try to make some moves, make up some position. Third point is going to matter. When you look at the point standings coming into this one, there's a lot. I mean, you talk about the guys on the outside looking in. There was not a lot of disparity between that line of the cutoff. I mean, there was a whole slew of guys tied at like 99 points, just barely right there on the edge.
Early doors in the season, it's easier to start up front than it is to have to make up as you get deeper into the season, so you want to have these good runs now. And both of these drivers are looking for a good run after maybe not what they're looking for in these first 2 weeks, and right now they're going to be battling for a really good finishing position.
You mentioned it, making that distance, closing that gap. I think right there on that 7 now.
Lots of cars covered by a blanket deeper onto the field here, but I just don't know if, oh man, everybody ran wide.
The track is just a recommendation.
They thought they were doing rallycross.
I don't think they got the dirt tires on.
Not quite. See there, Neil Rutt with that red banner. Just a reminder, he is our points leader, and throughout this season, whichever driver is leading in points heading into each week will be required to wear a red banner instead of the usual OSCA banner, just so that it makes it a bit easier for us dummies up here to remember what's going on. See a look of Dylan Thomas, Roberto Javier Gamera, and Jake Scarborough all there in a battle. Deeper down in the field. That's a battle for 10th place, actually, the three of them.
13 just lost it there a little bit. But Javier Gamera slide underneath. Now they're fighting side by side going through these S's. Scarborough there waiting, trying to see which one's going to follow.
They're still side by side right now. I'm surprised they haven't ran into each other.
Yeah.
Very good driving from the two of them.
Both just recognizing, understanding there's still a car high or low. Scarborough's just sitting here waiting, still following the line of the track. He's not really picking one over the other, just taking the corners. Finally, the 13 does clear.
Gilberto's got a better run off. Oh, he
Ooh.
got loose. Oh, man.
Too good of a run.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. Lost everything on the rear end there. Just gave that one up. Now Scarborough takes that position.
Scarborough can make a move on Dylan here.
Still watching here to see if Garcia's been able to make up any ground on Gabble. The interval's gone up and down, fluctuated a lot, but still remained pretty constant. Gabble lost another second off of Stanley. Garcia's stayed about a second and a half on the rear end of that one, but out of this one, the white flag down. Stanley in cruise control right now. He's walking away with this one.
Yeah, it's going to take a massive mistake on his part for anything to change when it comes to that top 3 positions. Really, one of them would have to make a mistake. They've all been under lock and key ever since this race started, especially Stanley.
And he can still hold on to this one. Not really seeing a lot of difference making between his tire wear. Of course, this is just that sprint, so everybody out here now has to leave it all on the line. This is pretty much all you're going to get coming out of this one. Now it starts to think about strategy of what you're going to do with this invert that we have coming up, plus with the opportunity for some pit stops to come through. How's this pit strategy going to come into play?
It'll be interesting to see. I wonder if a short pit's going to be better, or if it's... I think, honestly, both play into a driver's hands differently depending on how they like to drive. I think it also depends on if you're in a battle or not, but I do think that the undercut will be extremely powerful here. So watching Stanley here. Almost home free. Just a couple more corners to go, and he will have won here in his debut on the season. Filling in for Tim Conrad, or as we all know him as OSCA Daddy.
That's got to feel good, making your debut and kind of running away with the competition out of this one. Pretty solid standing. We'll walk away with the checker.
Couldn't have done anything much better. Very clean. Very few mistakes, if any at all. And Ethan Stanley here, one last corner. Bit of a drift there just for fun.
Yeah.
And he is going to win here, half one. It looks like Ryan Gallo's going to come home in P2, and Richard Garcia will come home in P3. And right now I'm still watching that battle for 10th. It looks like Dylan Thomas is going to hang on. Craig Gracie will come home in 4th.
That's a good run out of that one, too. We saw a lot of close competition between that 7 and the 77. But Gracie able to pull away a couple of seconds, obviously cleaned it up there towards the end of it. Able to take that spot, but still lurking into the top 5. And everybody else just filing in one by one by one. McIntosh, as you see, coming down in that top 10. Unfortunately, got hit with that little bit of internet connectivity issues, but still able to get the top 10 finish. You got to feel good.
Yeah, top 10 on a road course is a good feeling, especially one that's been as challenging on the tires as this one has.
Yeah.
Dylan Thomas did hang on to 10th place. Jake Scarborough actually almost lost in the final corner here. Just a couple more people to come around. So Dave Carpenter. Dave Carpenter is 21st. He'll be starting 2nd place for the next half. Thomas Capuano will be our pole sitter for the next half. And then behind them is Alex Kenton and Kyle Carl. Oh man. Oh.
Ooh.
Grabbing the backup car for the feature.
Yeah.
Kyle Carlson and David Westergreen. I think David Westergreen might be the last one here. Unless Brent Jones is still out on track. Is Brent Jones? Yes, Brent Jones is still there.
I'll wrap it up. Well, the first half of my presence here and I walk away with the second place from my pick, I'll take that. That's a good start. I can only go better by one, but it's sometimes just looking at what these guys are doing, walking away. Yeah, I'll raise the roof to that. I'll celebrate this one. I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, you beat Carlos, who has won the last 2 seasons, and so far for the first 2 weeks made a big stink about how he's gonna beat us all. He's just giving us a head start to start the season.
Yeah.
But who would you pick to get Carlos? It was Garcia. So
yeah,
Carlos,
third.
Carlos had
My
Carlos
first
had a
top
good
10 of the season.
So that's good for you.
Got to start somewhere.
Yeah, let's quickly go over the final results. Why don't we?
Yes. So, finishing first place, as we mentioned, Ethan Stanley, Ryan Gavel, Richard Garcia, Ray Bracey, and Drew Eisenman round up the top 5. Further down, Kynan Jones, Darren Staff, a great battle they had all race. Zach Rogers, Ty McIntosh, and Dylan Thomas round up your top 10. Surprising, in my opinion, to see down as far as they are. Austin Beers 13th, Vincent Isabella down in 18th. Usually is a bit farther up on the road courses. And then just down at the bottom, just a night to forget so far for Rashid Coles and Adam Peeler. Hopefully something can happen from this next half. And then, as we noted, Thomas Capuano will be starting on pole for this next half, so we'll see how that goes. Especially since he finished over. Hold on, math is hard. He finished 80 seconds behind Ethan Stanley. So, how long will he be able to stay up there?
That's the good question, and the question more important is how long is it going to take for those two drivers that were up front in control? I guess 3, even if you give Garcia the credit for it. How long is it going to take those 3 to navigate through traffic to get themselves back up into top 10, 5 position?
It'll be definitely fun. We'll have a lot more action, I think. I'd venture to hope that we have a lot more action in this next half here. I think we're just waiting on Ethan Stanley. I don't know if he knows that.
He's out running laps. Go let him run laps. Well, let's make some picks while we're at it.
All right, we'll make some picks instead. Yes.
All right, so the drivers get the first pick because their pick did not fare well. So they've picked the 35 for half 2.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, my pick for half 2 was the worst of those of us in here. So I get to pick whoever I can want. And I want the 1 car. So
Ryan Gavel finished second.
Up next is Goody's pick, and he wants to waste the 7 car again. So.
Oh my gosh, Goody.
Up next is Carlos.
Right. So for my second pick, I'm actually going to go with a teammate to who I picked in half 1. And I'm actually going to go ahead and pick Drew Eisman for second half.
Well, up next is you, Trevor.
Well, I'm now filtering through to see who I decide I want to go with. I'm going to take the 73.
Jones?
Yeah.
This was my first 3 picks off the board.
Matt Cherry.
I'll go with Gilberto. Gilberto's good for a top 15 usually here on the road course. So I'm gonna stick with Gilberto, the number 99 here.
There you go.
Will we just wait to say hello to Ethan after half 2? It's a big question.
Right?
He's asking him the.
I respect the Gilberto pick though. That was my next one up. So
Yeah, Gilberto's consistent. He doesn't make many mistakes. He's a solid driver.
yeah, I'm going with the risk versus reward out of this one because obviously we've seen the first 2 races out of this, but also just branch back to what I saw last season on the road courses. Kynan Jones fared pretty well. It just would end up in some incidentals. So just hoping that we'll be able to close this one out.
Yeah, the
Alright,
next road
Sorry. So Ethan says he will wait until the end of the race.
Fair
All
enough.
right, sounds good. maybe we can get two birds with one stone. Maybe he'll get another another podium here. Yeah, the net code with Kynan is usually what kills them, because
Yeah.
they're from down under, so they often have those gremlins get to them here, especially in road course racing when if you're gonna make a pass, it's gonna be tight quarters.
Well, everybody knows that sharks attack and eat the internet cables on the seafloor, so
You're right. You're right. How could I have forgotten?
it just happens, unfortunately, to critically affect what Kynan Jones is able to do. But out of the performance we saw in the first one, running a top 5 finish and stayed out of that, just kind of wait for, hopefully, not getting net coded with this 22 car invert and see what these results are going to bring.
And we're just looking there at Ethan Stanley. Smart. I didn't think anybody would think to do that. Practice a pit road entry. They're only gonna have to do one, for sure, during this race, but that could spell disaster if you don't know what you're doing, especially on a track that you're probably not usually running in these cars.
Now, out of this one, with second half being 21 laps, obviously we've wagered the fuel window roughly 14 for something to work, but hoping out of this you only get that single pit stop. If you're getting a caution before you can hit the fuel window, do you think that someone's going to take that early pit?
Man,
It's going to be very unlikely a caution comes out, though. I'll say that.
yeah, but it's happened before in OSCA. I rember Spa.
It's
a couple
happened,
seasons
yes.
ago. Spa a couple seasons ago, disaster struck on the initial start, and we got a caution. I think you do it, honestly. If it's like 1 or 2 laps outside, I think you do it, because you could save. It's easier to save on a road course, especially a hilly one like this. I think I'd do it, as we're looking here at the starting order here. Last race's winner, Ethan Stanley, in 22nd. We'll see how far he can get up. What about you, Trevor? Would you pit or no?
Yeah, I would take it. I would take the opportunity just to try to get myself into a better position, especially if you're one of those mid-pack cars who was running top 10 in that first one. Give yourself just a little bit of extra advantage to potentially maneuver your way through traffic to consistently drive that much better. And those people that don't pit, staying up at the front, theoretically, you should be able to run them down that much more efficiently and that much faster. Put yourselves in a position so that when the next pit windows do come around, you should have enough of a lead that you wouldn't have to worry about losing that on the second half.
Personally, the way I would approach this race is I would assume there's no caution coming out, especially if I'm towards the middle of the pack, which would be impossible for me, but I'm going to assume no caution comes out. As soon as that pit window is open, whatever lap that is, as soon as that pit window's open, I'm going down pit road so I can get a clear track ahead of me when I leave.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like I mentioned, I do think that the undercut's going to be massive here. But if you do pit right away, so 14 laps to go, so it'll be like after 8 laps, you do pit right away, and you throw all your eggs in that basket, lap 21's going to suck for you a lot at that point with the tires.
Yeah, just constantly checking the rearview mirror, seeing what these intervals are looking like at that point. So that's where the question starts to come in. When you look at those first 3 people, lap 6, 7, 8, who's going to start taking those pits, and then you look at those that are going to wait towards the end of their fuel window, 12, 13, 14.
Looks like we're getting ready to roll here. We'll see if they play nice in turn 1 here like they did last time. Different faces up front. We're going to have some people that are going to be looking to move for the field as quickly as possible here.
Not only looking at the people to move through the field very quickly, but also those that are already towards the front, just trying to hold on to this position, knowing that they've got the slower lap times that they had out of that first half. What are they going to be able to do to hold on to these and try to keep everybody else behind them?
Something to note, Dave Carpenter, who should have been in line to start second in this race, did not grid. I guess he just wanted nothing to do with that. Didn't want to be up front.
Did not want that smoke.
That's fair. I wouldn't want to be the one that causes a big wreck here. Mono coming towards the flag stand here. Not quite yet green, not quite. And we are green now.
There we go.
And a good jump from Hackathorn on the outside. Looks like Hackathorn's going to clear him going to turn 1, maybe.
Oh man, we're fanning out immediately.
This is gonna. They're not. There's no way they make it. There's somebody in the gravel. I think that's Drew Eisenman.
Yeah. Everybody settle down. It's okay. Just
Oh, we have a wreck in the back.
There's a spin. There it is.
That's Jake Scarborough.
Yep.
Oh, and James Watson, I think you saw from the gravel up in front here as well. So some carnage early here.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time before something happened. How wide they were going into those corners. Fortunate, I feel like, that only a couple of people got affected by that one.
We'll have to get a look at it here in a couple laps time once everything sorts out. But we have a lot more side-by-side action right now than we did in the first race.
So I was going to watch these leaders that were up front start to maneuver and pick off these positions one by one.
That's
a little bit of
straight
single
on.
file. Yeah.
No, he made it. All right.
Starting to line out a little bit here. But
Oh, teammate on teammate crime.
Ooh. Unfriendly nudge. The pain.
And oh man, Darren Sapp almost got pushed up into the grass again there.
Not the ideal start, especially after we saw what Darren did in that first half. Just had such a battle to stay up there towards the top 5, and now it's just fighting to stay on the track here in the middle of all this traffic.
I want to mention, these boys clearly didn't understand what they have to do if they want to avoid a sweep here. Stanley is already up to 15th. They are not slowing him down at all.
Nope. Not making much. Gavel only a few positions behind there. Sitting at 18th right now, looking to strike.
I guess you're saying Stanley's up to 15th. Gavel's behind him. Drew Eisman's up to 12th, and he started behind him.
And Drew went crazy wide in turn 1 as well.
Yeah.
Well, he went crazy wide to pass drivers because everybody was checking up.
A bit of a battle here for second. They are 3 wide into turn 1. Beers is smart and backs out of that. Lets Isabella go through. Capuano goes wide, and there we go. That's gonna solve that. Isabella goes wide as well, though. And Beers is now second.
Duff's sitting back there waiting to try to find a nose under as well. These 4 cars here battling.
Oh!
Just, I give credit. Duff's almost loses it. A good save.
I think it's mostly single file here. I wonder if we could go back and look at what happened there on lap 1, Carlos.
Yeah, let me see what I can pull up here for you.
All right, no worries. Take your time. Isabella and Beers are engaging in a bit of a fight right now as well.
Hackathorn senses put up 3 seconds there on Beers. We're watching this battle for second place, but somewhere off in the sunset, the 04 doing pretty good, holding on to this spot.
Well, he will like to see that battling going on right now early on in the race, and here's the replay of the start.
Immediate expansion across the board. They're white line to white line on this track.
What happened to Jake here? Did he just get caught between a rock and a hard place? I think. Yeah.
Middle lane, yeah.
Not much he could have done. He avoided horrible damage, and then I think it was, James Watson went off, lost the rear bumper. Man.
Making the shortcut there. Just watching this one, see where, if there's any contact made out of this. A little bit of a pinch at that spot. Fortunate did not catch any other cars coming through this one, able to stay off. Nobody else took too much of this, but as I was mentioned there, that 77 went way wide, because everybody else was trying to stay clear of that one, and clearly is reaping the benefits now, sitting up in 10th place with making the pass there onto Darren Staub, and Stanley right behind, now in 12th.
It's only going to be a matter of time here. Stanley might make it there before the first pit cycle. You see here Zach Evans running in 6th place right now in the number 6 Me-Find machine. Always focused, always composed. Capuano and Tufts are trying to hit each other, it seems like, in front. All the lockups that are happening.
Yeah, a lot going on there.
Sorry?
The more interesting that I'm looking at is, I mentioned Hackathorn had a huge interval on Beers.
Yes, I was about to mention that. Yes.
And now that is gone. And I wonder if that's Beers overdriving this one, or if that's Hackathorn just starting to let up and trying to conserve.
Well, I was surprised with how far down Beers finished in that first half. I think he underperformed what most people would have expected out of him.
6/10. Wow.
So I think this is just awesome Beer's true pace. And you
Yeah.
know, if he can get by Hackenthorn quickly here, who knows? Maybe he might be able to build enough of a gap before Stanley gets up to the front that he might be able to do something to stop a sweep.
Remember, didn't Beer spin out in half one?
I think he did, yes. Yes, he did. That's right. I would have turned 2.
He probably had the pace all along. It's just lost the track position.
Yeah.
Didn't get through it.
Killed the tires early as well, which wouldn't have helped. Oh, and he's right on top of him.
Oh yeah, that pass is coming.
On the outside of Spoon. That's insane. Yeah. Awesome Beers. It's a new leader here in half number 2. Our third leader of the evening.
Good work of that pass to take the lead on that. Now it's just a matter of, like you said, looking to try to build and maintain this lead, waiting for those fast cars that we saw in half one on the catch-up. If they're going to be able to get to that spot, can Beers hold on to it? How long is he going to hold on to it? And when is this hit strategy going to start to come into play, assuming that Beers holds it that long?
Right now, Reisman is helping out also here a lot because while he's not as fast as Stanley, he's fast enough to make it hard for him to pass.
Look who's 5th, by the way.
Place Garcia already back up. I didn't even realize. So Garcia also could be somebody that will want to get up to the front here.
Just making the pass there and actually moving up to 4th at this point.
Stanley is side by side here, as you see with Eisman. A lot more moves being made in the early stages of this race than there were in the first half of the sprint.
Very interesting of what the difference is between this one, knowing that all these guys are going to have to pit. Wondering if that's going to let them just really use these tires up and make sure that they have nothing left on them so that when they do get this second set, they are in the position they want to be in.
It's going to be interesting to see what people do. I'm watching. Eisman is still frustrating Stanley right now. And man, Stanley might lose position to Darren if he's not quickly. There's just a gaggle of cars here.
Yeah, that's 6, the 77, the 35, all trying to make these moves and hold on to their spots. Is going to start to filter out little by little, but those two are making their moves to get up into this top 10. Ooh, Kainen's around. No!
Oh man.
I'm not mad, just disappointed.
I didn't get a good look at it on the broadcast, sorry, but it sounds like Vic kind of thought that that might have been netcode.
The Sharks are at the internet again.
Oh, I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
That one may not have been netcode.
I think that that was 2 cars trying to use up as much space as they could, and they ran out.
Well, it looked like the 13 got loose.
13 didn't drive into that corner at all, and Kainen started to turn into that. Unfortunately, the two of them just got together.
Garcia's up to 3rd now. He's now just chasing down Hackenthorn, and then it'll just be Beers that he needs to get to. And Stanley has gotten by Eisman. Is that our first? There's no way this is a scheduled one. Can they go 17 laps? Is Vic
I don't
wrong?
think so. I don't think so. This might be an unscheduled pit stop.
Yeah.
Zach Rogers. Oh, Zach Rogers has a meatball flag. That would explain why he's in pit road.
Really? I don't
Yeah,
see
he may
anything
have
on
made
that guy.
contact with Kynan Jones. He may have been the driver that hit him.
Ah, I see.
Well, the meatball
Say,
flag is cleared already. It's not a really long one.
Stanley's gotten by Eisman. He's now past Capuano. Ty McIntosh is next on his hit list.
Abel reached into the top 10 now, as well as hunting down Darren in that code red car. Starting to see those leaders that where they were coming up towards this first pit window and put themselves into the top 5.
Oh,
boy.
man.
Lost
Might be
that
pushing
one.
him. pushing a bit too hard.
Respect the attempt, respect the effort. Now you just gotta dig deep and get that spot back.
I think they're willing a bit more to put some pressure on these tires earlier on in the race since they know they're getting another set here in a couple laps.
Yeah, it certainly seems like it. I mean, they're driving harder into these corners and trying. And we see these positions that some of these guys are taking. And some of them are forced to give up out of this one. See, Stop moved up 7 positions out of this one. Still running in 2:12 time frame, but after hold off that one right there, now trying to make these moves. Gavel's still just ever lurking right there on that back bumper.
As we're talking here, Stanley has just gotten past McIntosh. He's now into 6th place.
And Garcia the second.
Garcia has passed, yeah, I was going to say Garcia has passed Hackathorn.
Here's there in the lead, still holding this a 1.5 on Garcia, but that interval is closing.
This is the pass for
Slowly
the
but
lead.
surely.
Or excuse me, pass for second.
For second place here. Just set him up off the corner here. He has more grip. His managers tires a bit better, and Hackathorn's smart. Doesn't really make a big fight of it. He knows
give
it's
that.
not his race.
Yep. No one to save the car, put yourself in a position you don't have to worry about anything, any contact out of this one. And going into that replay is 1.6, now down to a 1.25, and very quickly dropping.
Yes, Garcia's going to want to get this move done as quickly as possible. Since Stanley's only about 4 and a bit seconds behind him.
Get up 8 tenths. Good lord.
You can see what happened once Garcia got out of traffic there. So on lap 1, he lost 5 seconds to Austin Beers.
Yeah.
And then as soon as that he didn't have a gaggle of cars in front of him, he was gaining pretty much a second a lap.
That's a wild improvement to put yourself in this position, knowing that you're now going to overtake here before this pit window comes up, and still looking at the other two. Somewhere caught back in traffic. Gavel only up to 8th right now. Stanley just passing Tufts now for 4th place. He's going to start to open up a little bit more. So Stanley is going to be coming now that there's nobody for another 2 seconds in front of him. He's going to come up onto Hackathorn. But watching these guys make their moves without this traffic, these intervals are quickly disappearing.
Do you want to mention here, we have 16 to go. Right now, Garcia has about 4 seconds on Stanley. And while we think Stanley's just going to run that down, last half, Stanley was ahead of Garcia by 7 seconds at the line, and that does not include having to pass him. So Garcia could be in a better spot than we think.
It could be. And I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Garcia in control of this one. It's just fighting and holding Stanley off out of this. But and having to get past Peters is going to be your first challenge.
Needs to be done this lap. Can't wait another lap.
Gotta find the right corner, find the area to put yourself in, and just see how tight Pierce is going to hold on to this one. Is he going to just give this up like we saw Hackathorn just give up the pass, or is he just going to try to hold on to this lap by lap?
Piers will hang on. Piers wants.
I mean, if I'm in the lead, I'm holding on to it too. Yeah.
Yes.
I cannot blame him for that.
No, I cannot either. See, Eisenman also still working his way up through the figures, across the top 10.
Isabella right there on the back bumper of Aaron. Trying to make this, as you mentioned. Eisman right behind, so these 3 cars fighting for 8, 9, 10.
Garcia's getting awfully close to that rear bumper
Yeah, he is.
of Austin Beers.
Wait for the right corner, the right move.
I mean, this is hurting him. Like, look how much time Stanley's gained on this.
Yeah, made up a couple of seconds already.
And Stanley's about to make a move on Hackathorn for 3rd. Yeah, it's pretty much done. It's now or never for Garcia if he wants to have a chance of controlling this one.
Yeah, unfortunately, Beers being in front is only hindering what Garcia could be doing as far as building a lead, but good for Beers to really hold on to this position and not really give anything up. Driving it well, driving in the corners, not opening up, leaving any openings. Garcia's really having a struggle with this pass. Or this is all calculating Garcia's right where he wants to be.
By the way, I should say Stanley last lap had the fastest lap of the race.
What was that, Carlos?
Stanley last lap had the fastest lap of the race.
2:10.6 was the fastest lap.
Yeah, 2:10. Yeah, 6:2.
It's a bit slower this half. That's because they're trying to make it for the field. We'll see what happens once they get fresh tires on. Which the window is now officially open as they cross the line here. Garcia, as you're saying, is going to make a move here for the lead. And now we could see people making scheduled pit stops. You know what? Beers is sticking it in there.
Uh-oh.
Goes wide.
Garcia. Wow. Lost some grip on that one. Sent it wide. And that's going to give Stanley this opportunity now to really close this gap. And unfortunately, Garcia now looking at the back bumper of Beers once again. Again, Beers just doing everything right to hold on to this position.
I'm sorry. I'm waiting for something to happen here. Garcia's still right on the rear bumper of Austin Beers. It's got to happen sooner rather than later. I wonder if Garcia...
Through those last three corners, just made up 0.6 of a second, and wow! Now all of a sudden, look at this, bumper to bumper to bumper.
There was contact
there from Garcia. Garcia's losing these tires very quickly.
Contact's going to happen soon. Garcia's going to run out of patience here.
Well, the good thing about losing your tires now is the pit window's open.
Yep, we are in that spot. Now Stanley on the back bumper here, looking for this overtake, trying to put yourself in the lead. Watching these two battle as long as they have been, do you make this pass, or do you just say, you know what, we're in the pit window, I'm going to take it now?
Man.
I would pit now, especially if I'm Garcia.
Garcia especially.
I don't know.
I don't trust these tires.
Yeah, I don't trust the tires right now, but this is 7 laps. You pit now, you have to do double that.
It's true.
Garcia did struggle the most on the tires of the top 3 in the last half as well.
Well, here's the reason why. It's because he can't get past Beers, without possibly turning him unless Beers makes a mistake. He's losing lots of ground that he could have potentially been making up on Stanley. Yeah. If he pits now, he's going to have potentially an empty road ahead of him, where he can make up that ground, and then hopefully maybe Beers can hold up Stanley.
Yeah, and that's the mentality, right, of looking at it, because if you're in Stanley's position, you've been watching these two go at it for the last 3, 4, 5 laps, and Garcia cannot make this pass. It's just a matter of, at this point, you accept your losses, cut them short, get the new tires, and then, like Carlos said, just open up that track, start driving your own race, because right now, Garcia's at the mercy of Beers, and is driving Beers' race, who's in complete control of this position and not giving it up.
There's a couple times now where even Stanley's starting to look on the inside or outside of Garcia, so Stanley wants to get a move on here as well.
If Stanley's making a pass, though, he's not just passing one, he's taking them both at the same time.
Now we're getting closer, deeper into the pit window, where we're going to become the 12th to go this time. That undercut could really come into play here, because they went 12 in the first half. They could go 12 again.
A little bit further back, starting to see some cars spread out. McInthorn, McIntosh, and Darren all up in here for the 5th, 6th, 7th position. You see a gaggle of cars.
Oh, Beers and Garcia both go wide.
Wow, yeah.
Well, good thing this isn't Formula 1.
Yeah.
Just thinking about this battle up front, if you're Beers, while you're doing a fantastic job of keeping your feet behind, you know that they're faster than you. You have to be the one that pulls the trigger first, because if they undercut you and they get that one lap where they're going to be like 4 seconds faster than you, that's pretty much it for you. If you want any chance of winning this race, you've got to pull the trigger first.
Yeah, now it's just a game of chicken. Someone say, no, you pit first. Beers knowing that it's going to be certainly challenging.
And it's Stanley that's pitting first.
Interesting. Stanley's listening to the broadcast. He knows he's going to lose time.
Yeah. I like that move, though. I like the fact that Stanley's going to do this knowing that these two have been going at it for so long. Kinley's done so
Kynan's
well.
around.
Kynan's around again.
By the way, Tubbs, Eisenman, and
looking good for me.
Capuano all went down pit road as well.
So now the cycle start.
See if Stanley comes out into any sort of traffic here.
Whatever traffic he could potentially get will probably not be much of a hindrance. He'll just be able to quickly pass him. Oh, whew, that looked a little close.
Yeah, as you say that, Dylan Thomas almost causes a calamity.
Riding after a couple spins in the pits. Hopefully these new tires going to do something better for him. Trying to get this better position moving up. Not feeling
Let's see
too
if-
great about that pick right now.
Let's see if Garcia will come down this time by. Kyden Jones, David Westergreen all went down pit road this time as well.
I think Garcia and Beers have to react now. We just hope that something interrupts Stanley on his outlap. Dallas Myhan just went off track in front of him, but it's not going to slow him down at all.
Yeah, another name right there, the one with Gavel in position at number 3 and looking for when that pit's going to happen as well. We saw moving up,
No.
not quite as quickly, but
Now I wonder, do you do something crazy here? Do you just take fuel and try and hang on?
ooh, I don't know if I'm that brave.
I mean, if your Beers, like I said, you know that you're not faster than them. You might want to try something. And are they coming in this time? No. I'm
going.
surprised. I am very surprised by that.
Got to be somewhere in the middle. They're just going to push this one to the limit all the way to that lap 13, 14 mark, running on fumes.
I guess so. It's an interesting choice.
Hackathorn, Isabella,
Watson,
Carlson.
everybody.
Yeah, sorry.
They're all there.
And points there, Neil Rutt are going down pit road.
Stanley's just crossing the start finish line now. Stanley's already only 29 seconds, almost 28 seconds here behind. So I'm pretty sure that's over a pit stop, overtime at pit road, right? So I'm very surprised that Beers and Garcia didn't think to come in past that.
They did do it then. They've got it. If it's not this lap, it has to be the next. I mean, there's, especially with Beers, the way he's been running so well on these tires with the way that they're aging. That car's in complete control. Beers has it, but like you said, just knows that you're not faster than that, especially these cars on fresh tires.
Neil Rutt got a penalty leaving pit road. I believe he crossed over the commitment line or the remerging line a bit too early. So he has a black flag. He will have to stop one more time.
Unlucky for our points leader, Neil Rutt. Capuano going off the track, yeah.
Now it's a matter of how long are these top 5 going to be able to hold their position. How long are they going to hold out? And it's only a matter of time. Looking for a single indicator. Somebody's
Also-
going to be going because end to go.
Austin Beers is pulling away from Garcia.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, Beers has been managing the tires really well, as Trevor should mention.
Yeah, Beer's doing very well with this car. And whether it be
Here we go.
driving it aggressively, but there it is.
Garcia comes in, but Beers once again staying
He's out. Yep. And I'm not mad at it. The way that you're driving this car, you're still holding on to this. Gavel hasn't really made up any time, a second maybe. Is starting to close that gap a little bit, but I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, I guess Beers has made his bet. He's going to lay in it. He's probably going to come out still once all this cycles out because Gavel's still out there. He's probably still going to be in the top 3. And maybe he's just hoping that he's going to have enough of a tire advantage at the end of this thing.
Yep.
Ethan Stanley has already gone past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that 35?
So Stanley's got just like 3 laps there. Has a 10-second gap on Garcia. He was right behind him when he pit.
Oh, my
Oh
hand.
man, Dallas. Dallas is
Oh.
having a rough night.
Yeah, a couple
Yeah,
times
unfortunately,
now
he's
going
not
off
having
track.
himself a good day. He told me in a message, even before the race began, and this is just not going any better for him.
Sometimes you just know it's just not your track, not your day. Things are just not working out for you. The car's not set up the way you want it, and you just understand that going into it, it's going to be rough. You just try to finish the race, put yourself in a position to try to get some points out of it.
You know, driving these things on road courses is way harder than people give credit for.
Yeah, I hate
Wait.
road races.
Way too much horsepower and way too heavy of a car to be putting on road courses. But that's why it's so impressive when you see people like Ethan Stanley do what they can do.
Yeah, making it look way too easy out there.
Yes.
Single digits coming up here with laps to go. Still waiting on this fabled pit stop from Austin Beers up there in first.
Also, Brian Gavel and Carl McIntosh are not taking it either, or Ray Racing.
Some conversation kind of on the top of your screen here, looking for some redemption. Had a couple of spins in this half, trying to just gain these positions back.
Oh, Darren, has Darren pit yet? Because I've been seeing him.
Darren has pit.
Man, his tires are already causing trouble. Beers is in the pits right now, and Garcia, or not Garcia, Stanley's coming around the final corner right now, so he's going to have almost a full pit stop on Austin Beers from those 4 or 5 laps. Difference in pitting.
Crazy track times.
Yeah, Gavel's staying out as well. I'm wondering, is Garcia going to get 5 years? Yes, he will. Garcia has passed years.
Yeah. Let join him down the pit road. We're down to what, 2 that have yet to make their stops?
Gavel and McIntosh, yeah.
Just the 1, 2.
And I don't know if, even if they do have that crazy tire advantage, I don't know if once they pit here, they're going to have enough time to do anything about it.
Yeah. We've seen that one car get a little loose, a little squirrely in a few laps ago, but still holding this position out of number 1, trying to turn these. McIntosh right there. Gone position.
Whoa.
Yeah, those tires are not doing great.
It's time to accept that you're not going to get a caution here. It's so unlikely to begin with. Garcia is set fast. We're not Garcia. Stanley is sitting super fast a lot of times. So 209 flat that last lap.
Yeah, those are the times that we were seeing half 1 to start the race in those first few laps. So Stanley just making up every millisecond of a difference here in no time before you see that 35 running in P1 again.
Darren Stapp making a move on Hackhorn, locked up there, but he was able to make the pass cleanly. That was for 10th place then. Or sorry, 8th place, my bad. Trying to look at the iRacing timing compared to the live timing on the 3-wide TV multi.
Here we go.
A bit,
There he
disparity. Gavel comes in. As soon McIntosh will follow. Stanley is entering the final 7 corners right now.
McIntosh does. 10 seconds is going to be the gap between 1 and 2 when these pits are done. Matter of, can Stanley hold it? Will Garcia make that distance up?
Man, it's going to have to be about
That's
a
a lot.
second a lap.
That's a lot.
Over a second a lap.
Yeah. That's just banking on a mistake out of what we didn't see any mistakes out of the 35 that first half, really. You're asking for a miracle.
He's in cruise control right now. You did see Garcia gained half a second that last lap, but that's not going to be anywhere near enough. See, the big difference there was
Yeah.
Garcia only gained 25 seconds when Stanley pit early, but on the lap that Garcia pit, Stanley gained 31 seconds on him. That's the difference in those 2 laps of tires. Basically 6 seconds is what was made up. 12 seconds actually if you look at lap 11
Yeah.
there.
The wild gap. watching those 1 and 2. We'll keep an eye on that interval, but 4th, 5th is where we're going to start to see some action out of this one. Plus, you see the bottom of that top 10. All those cars within half a second of each other. It's a 3 we're looking at up top right there. Someone trying to make a move, trying to find their angle, find their position as well. Just a matter of the single file, wait for someone to make a mistake.
See, Gavel also has extremely fresh tires as well. He's just come out of the pits, and he's already in 4th, so he might be able to hunt down Beers for a podium position here.
Got to make sure you take care of those tires. We saw that one got real squirrely towards the end of that one, and that was, you know, maybe 10, 12 laps in where you start to really lose those tires. So just got to hope that Al's gonna be able to hold on to this one all the way through to see the white check.
Yeah, we'll see. You know, we were talking about that gap maybe being impossible, but he's gotten it down to 8.8.
Yeah,
8 point. He is making time. I just don't think it's going to be enough.
and I'm sure somebody's chirping and Stanley's here letting them know every single second what these intervals are coming through these corners. And at the same time, just keep a flat line. You know what? Just drive your race. You're in control of this one. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about what's going on behind you. Just do what you need to do.
Yep.
1.1. Wow.
Well, Stanley has the benefit of being able to save his tires. He can wait until Garcia gets there to start really going.
Yeah.
Garcia has to be giving it everything he has here. He has to be setting qualifying laps.
But we also know that, you know, the way that it is to just really frustrate Garcia. We saw Austin Pierce do it there for the longest time before they went into pits. Garcia could not make that pass. And so if I'm Stanley and I'm looking at Garcia coming up on my rear bumper, I know that all I have to do is just drive a really clean race, and Garcia's going to have a hell of a time to get by me.
I'm hearing Gilbert yell on the mic, Alex, no. Did Alex Kenton just have an incident?
Alex was in the pits. I don't know what happened. Did he come out into the line of traffic too soon or something?
I think he just went off. Oh, man.
Ooh, yep.
Oh, man.
Got it out of the sand trap.
Just cooked it a bit too deep into that corner there. Tires are already struggling probably at this point in the run. So look here at Garcia is now down to 7.2.
Beat up another second.
And Gavel is almost on top of Beers as well.
Yeah, Gavel certainly trying to gun for that podium position. And you still see 6, 7, and 8. Now McIntosh really created a little bit of a gap there between Isabella and Tufts and just trying to close in onto Bracy. But watching those guys might have a battle coming up towards the end of this run. Look at that gap. There's nothing. There it is. This really is like watching a Verstappen race.
Yeah, it is. 1 second gain again. He's going to have to do a bit more than that here if he wants to get him here in these last 6 laps.
Like you said, though, Stanley's able to really take care of this car, take care of these tires. He's able to just drive a relatively conservative race, while Garcia's going to have to really gun it to try to get to that position.
Oh!
Hello!
What happened
there? Is a
there?
car there. You can't do that.
Oh, man, he's up right in the... Jeez.
All right, able to get out of traffic out of this one, but Thomas there.
We'll have to take a look at what happened there.
Incidental. Frustration out of this one, coming down on this one, getting into the line. Both of them, yeah, just 2 cars just trying to get in one spot.
Man, no, it's not. Dylan's got to know that the track kind of closes in there.
Yeah, can't really swing that one wide.
Gavel and Beers are engaged in a battle. They're currently chirping each other on the mics. So, a little bit of fun being had there between the 2 drivers, but Gavel gets by him pretty.
When Garcia looks at this broadcast and sees how easy it was for Gavel to get past Beers, he's gonna be so mad.
That's exactly what I was thinking. It's like, wow, look how easy that was. Someone couldn't do it for like 5 laps. Yeah, that's Yeah, pretty simple pass there for Gallo to get himself up. I can't see any world where Gallo gets up to Garcia, but got to be at least confident and comfortable that you're able to put yourself into a top 3 position. Garcia's kind of flatlined too. 6.5 seconds, really hasn't done a whole lot.
He still gained a little bit this lap, but
A little bit, but not as much.
Not enough. Might be the top 3 sorted for this one.
Still picked up another second. Gabble making up a lot of time there as well. Yeah, that time down to almost 9/10 there. A little bit, but still got a ways to go with only 5 to go. No matter of
Even
can you do it.
Gabble only gained half a second. I guess it's because
Yeah.
he's behind Beers, yeah.
Wasn't behind Beers for very long, comparatively, but
Yeah, Garcia's going to have nightmares with the back of that number 19 car.
yeah, not a whole lot really going on around the track as well. These intervals relatively spaced, handful of car lengths between one and the other. A few that might be in position coming in or out of corners, but this current juncture, everybody just kind of running their race and trying to keep it clean.
That's really all you can do here. If you're Garcia, you're praying that Westergreen causes a problem here for Ethan Stanley. I don't think he will. He's going to make quick work of him. Yeah, that's settled. Gap is down to 5.5.
Could be another over a second made up on this lap, so it's certainly within a realm of possibility, but now it's just a matter of when you get to that position, do you have enough tire left over?
Yeah, because those
To be able
tires
to
are going
take
to
that.
reach they're going to reach a cliff eventually.
Yeah.
We're probably pretty close to it right now.
McIntosh on the top side was looking for a pass there onto Gracie. Couldn't quite get there, but we saw how much difficulty Garcia had passing Beers. I can only imagine it's going to be that much more difficult getting past Stanley. Plus, you got that 9 car in between.
Yeah. I mean, Westergreen will probably get right out of the way, like he did for Stanley. Let's see what the gap, how much he gained this time. It's probably gonna be one of his bigger laps for gaining, I think.
I'd say 1 3/10 maybe. And yeah, would be more than what the last one was, because that gap is closing. You're turning that corner sooner than the last time. So yeah, 1 3/10 out of that one.
1.3. Most of his gain in the lap. Let's see, got 4 laps left. Some quick math here. 3.9, 4.2. That's going to get him to 7/10 behind him. Thank you, Carlos. Appreciate it. So, if this rate is going on, assuming that both their tires stay exactly what they are, it'll be 7/10. Carlos, stop patronizing me. It'll be about 7/10.
I'm glad you're the one doing the math, because I can't do it. Don't ask me at any point.
Man, I don't know why I'm doing it. I'm a theater major. I'm stupid. I don't know what's going on.
I changed my major because of math, so yeah, I'm out. Don't ask me. They told me in order to be a weatherman, I'd get a math minor, and I said, I'm good. I'm out. No, thank you.
That's fair. And we'll see here. Will Westergreen make it easy for Garcia? I hope he does. I want to see some action. Oh, come on, David. Get out of the way.
Holding up there.
Yeah, Garcia's just
Car
having a
lengths
rough
box it
time.
up, yeah.
Yeah, Garcia's having a rough time of getting by some slower cars this race.
Yeah, makes quick work of that one, though, which is reassuring, because I was only a little bit concerned of how much trouble Westergreen would give to that 57, but said pretty quick, pretty easy pass, but in between this one, again, hasn't seen a whole lot of time made up there, maybe 0.6 of a second so far out of this point, but like we saw in the first half, Stanley's weaker half was the back side of this track, so this is really the opportunity where Garcia on these straights can make up some of that time.
Especially those older tires as well. They are going to play a big part because
Yeah.
once they hit the cliff, they go like crazy, and Stanley's will hit that cliff a bit sooner. I think it's only going to be around 7/10 gain this lap, though, so it's not enough.
A lot of time to make up out of this one, and not a whole lot of laps left. That ticker is coming, so at what point do you just decide that I don't know if this is going to be entirely there.
He
You just
lost.
got to drive it home safe. Yeah, four tenths. There's. Yeah,
He
still
lost
really
like
picking up
3
there
tenths
in the
on
last few
those last 2 corners.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Stanley
pushing
really improved.
hard. I mean, you're Garcia, you're not going to stop pushing. You're hoping. But at this point, if you're Stanley, you had a bit of a scare. You're probably pretty comfortable. He even actually pulled it farther away from Gavel that time.
Yeah.
Oh, let me look at something again. No, yeah. I thought maybe Stanley was maybe pulling out some good laps, but no, they're pretty consistent with what he's been running lately.
Yeah, right in that middle of the 211 range.
Yeah, I just think we hit that threshold on Garcia's tires.
Yep. Doing so well there. Unfortunately, like I said, hit that cliff, and now it's just at a point of holding it where it is, keeping it constant. 4.5 seconds has been roughly what it's been the last lap. Still looking at that top 10 there. You see McIntosh, Bracey still pretty close to each other. Just in front of them, Darren Stopp still holding. One of those three waiting for someone to make a mistake out of this one, because they're still running in prime position for somebody to take something. And I imagine between these three, one of these cars is going to make a move by the end of the race.
Also looking at James Watson, who had lost the rear bumper on lap 1.
Yeah.
He's finding himself in P10 right now, so a good recovery drive.
Watson was one on my list of potential drivers to pick out of this as well, because of just the consistency seemingly from his history out of these last 4 courses, the road courses that we ran in this series. One to watch, and not really too surprising to see this level of a comeback to push themselves into the top 10.
Yeah, it's a nice drive, nice way to. It's a mental challenge when you have something go that bad on lap 1. So good work from him. But unfortunately, the class of the field is Ethan Stanley, who has actually pulled away from Garcia this lap.
Yep. It's pretty much going to put a bow on that one, barring anything weird happening. 2 tenths there lost by Garcia. Gavel's not doing any favors either. Not really making up any ground out of this one.
I'm listening to the chatter now. It looks like Westergreen might have had a moment right in front of them. So that probably is not going to help Gavel at all. But he should be safe to stay in a top 3 position. 2 to go here.
It's top 3 up here. Running 6, 7, 8. Waiting on somebody to make something. McIntosh drives it wide around that corner. Trying to stick it in, but can't make anything really work out of that one. Disappears out of frame, but 45 and the 7. I feel like the 7's going to try to find a way to drive it in and try to get that nose underneath at some point.
Darren Stopp's been the centerpiece of a lot of battles we've seen so far tonight.
Yeah, and very busy.
Very busy. He's going to have to take a shower after this one. Some lap traffic that our leader's dealing with right now, but they just pull to the side and let them by.
Kenton going down a lap there. We saw spun out a little bit ago. Ended up in the sand trap, but would at least get back out. Now is that lap down. So you're going to be coming up on it soon enough here, but you mentioned 2 to go. And now Stanley in complete control out of this one. I see you holding on to second. Gavel's just, at this point, pulling back even more. Not really doing much of anything to make up any ground. But fortunately for him, Austin Beer's doing the same thing in the position behind. Both of them constantly dropping back at the same rate.
Still, you know, Austin Beers, he held his ground for an extremely long time. And that's probably the difference between finishing 4th and maybe 8th. Who knows if he fell into the clutches of Drew Eisenman, who knows what would have happened. But he did a great job of just giving himself a gap and pushing those tires as long as he did. Really impressive from Austin.
This might make things interesting with Western Green coming up on these 3 cars fighting for a position out of this one. But I know just what we saw out of the first half of this race, McIntosh might be having flashbacks, because I feel like it was the exact same lineup with just a different driver in the middle. But we saw a 45 to 73 in the 95 there in the first half. Now 95 sitting back once again.
Oh, jeez.
Western Green a little frisky up there, trying to hold this one.
I think Stapp was trying to use a bit too much of a slipstream.
A little too close there for comfort. If I'm the 95, knowing what happened in the first half, I don't want to be anywhere near these two as they're battling it out.
No, he's
I don't
doing
wanna
just
get
that.
flipped again.
He just went wide, so I think he's waiting to see. He's gonna be a bit farther back if they decide to
Yeah.
wreck each other again this time. Five in the hips design machine. Very simple paint scheme, but it looks nice.
White flag has dropped. Garcia's made up a little bit of time out of this one. Stanley playing this one very safe, very conservative, just holding on to this. Or Garcia's just really driving it home out of this, but not a whole lot going to change here between this one as we watch Stanley cruising through this one, making these corners look clean. And there's nobody else in the frame of reference.
Stanley has been locked in this entire night. No reason to expect that anything will change in these last couple corners. Put on a clinic. Really showed everybody
yeah.
here how to drive this track.
Yeah, very impressive too. I mean, we talked about what the difference would be coming through after the invert, watching them drive through traffic. But pit strategy paid off. Didn't have to worry about anything. No cautions came out. Everything went according to plan there for Stanley. Coming in, filling in the 35. He's able to walk out of this one looking pretty good and feeling pretty good.
Another celebratory drift there. I'm still wondering here. Actually, I'm gonna maybe draw our attention to the battle for 7th. McIntosh is right on Ray Bracey going to these final set of corners. I don't know if Carlos is gonna have that here. Ty's looking to the outside.
There we go.
Is he gonna get it done? What a move if he does. They're side by side. And Bracey will yield the position. Good, nice little move there to finish the race for McIntosh.
Yeah, good overtake. Figured out of anybody making a pass, it had to be one of those 3 cars that did it. Darren was able to drive away out of that one, but yeah, McIntosh making that pass, getting away with that one, scot-free, and pretty much everybody else just kind of coasting in, and silently, Watson able to pull out a top 10 finish.
Yeah, like we mentioned earlier, a good recovery drive for him. I'm just going back, if I'm in the heads of Garcia and Beers, I'm just kicking myself, thinking to myself, why didn't I pit before Stanley? Because I think Beers was showing how to make the car wide. He could have done it. I think he was most likely to do it. We'll have a chance to ask him about that, so we'll see. Well, that's Garcia that it is. Beers did not finish in the top 3, but yeah, wonder how that race would have panned out if they chose to pit before Stanley did.
Yeah, and just going through what the decision making is and what the communications look like at that point, because it is very
Oh
interesting.
my goodness.
Hello. Enter into frame, Thomas Capuano. Hello, and he's upside down. Giving the people the show that they paid for.
It was honestly a really entertaining road race for OSCA standards. There's lots of battles going on throughout the field the entire time. Obviously, even Stanley put on a clinic, but you had to work for it a bit more in the second half.
Yeah, certainly made it more difficult, trying to be in this position and waiting on everybody else to make their pits, but understanding that you have the fastest car in the lap, what you're able to do, what you're capable of, and off of that restart after the invert, knowing how well
you have calamity here after on the cooldown lap.
Yeah, knowing how well you can pass cars in traffic, at that point you're just feeling confident that you can do anything with the car that you have. And Stanley, I mean, if you're already in that mindset, you're not worried about any other car on this track.
That's right. All right, we look at our final standings here. Stanley sweeping both halves here for the Binx Designs 120 from Suzuka. Garcia got a second and a third. Gavel got a second and a third, so good week for them. Austin Beers 4th, Drew Eisenman 5th. Rounding out our top 10, you have Stapp, McIntosh, Bracey, Isabella, and Watson. A couple surprising names. Kylan Jones, we thought was going to have a good second half, but mentioned a couple spins that he had. Capuano held on pretty well in all things considered. Finishing 22nd in the first half, got pole for this half because of the invert. So to hang on to 15th, and Dylan Thomas managed to come home in 18th after that side swipe he had with Gilberto. Gilberto was not so lucky. I believe he actually ended up having a DNF after that. As we'll flip to the next page here. As you see, Gilberto down in 24th. Lester Green was on our screens quite a bit here as the leaders were trying to get around him. And Brent Jones, I guess, had a rough second half here, and Jake Scarborough both bowed out extremely early, finishing 17 and 15 laps down respectively.
Yeah, not quite the night that they wanted out of this one. Plus, we saw Peeler got into that sand trap early, ended up in the pits pretty early on out of this. So not quite the finish you were looking for, not quite the race you were looking for. A lot of these guys, like we mentioned, the lap times they're putting in comparatively to what we saw out of those cars running top 5, top 10, they're running 3, 4, 5 seconds slower. It's just a matter of recognizing that you're driving for position. You're just driving to get those laps completed and hopefully get some points out of this one, knowing that you're not going to be able to keep pace with those guys up front. Because I mean, Stanley was not alone in that one. Garcia up there, as well as Gavel, those guys putting on a clinic altogether. I mean, there was a pretty big gap between them and the rest of the field.
Yeah, you're talking about points. I'd venture to say that our points leader going into this week, Neil Rott, finished 17th in the sprint and 20th in this. Probably not going to be our points leader anymore. And then his closest contender, Tyler McIntosh, finished 9th and 7th. So interested to see, once all those are calculated, what happens here. But we do have Ryan Gavel, our third place finisher for this half, in the interview waiting room. Shall we bring him up and give him a little chat? All right. So we have Ryan here. Ryan, you had a good night tonight, finishing second in the first half, third in this one. Must be nice to come back from a 1-week suspension and be right up front, right where you left off.
Yeah, no, I was definitely looking forward to this being the race after the suspension, because I do love the road courses, and I felt really confident coming into tonight, and that definitely showed. It was good. Of course, once I heard old Stanley was showing up, my goal was going to be second, and that's exactly how it went in the first half. Richard there was real quick too, of course, and in the second half, my plan was to short pit and try to jump Stanley, but he jumped the short pit before I even thought to short pit, so then I just did the opposite, and I think that might have cost me second. But either way, good time, good run. Yeah, happy with second, third.
Yeah, a good night for sure for yourself and the Shifty Sports Machine. Just wondering, what was the difference there in that second half with Stanley and Garcia both getting through the field way quicker than you?
Yeah, there was a couple guys that I got hung up on, and they got hung up as well. I didn't even see Richard. I think he just got through way better than me and Stanley both, because he flew through, and then I noticed he got stuck behind Beers for a while, which might have cost him a shot at the win. But I mean, at the start of that first lap, I was right next to Stanley, had a few chances to get by him, but couldn't pull it off. And then I got stuck behind a couple guys, maybe made a couple mistakes and fell back. But then I got back up to him at one point, but then I got stuck again. And I think I don't want to say it was all luck, because it's definitely not luck. I mean, luck has a little bit to do with how the lap cars, or not lap cars, but the back markers that start up front, play out. But yeah, I don't think there was a specific moment, but just getting hung up on a couple guys and making a few mistakes, and he was able to just get through better, and Richard got through a lot better. And then, maybe I would have had second if I just followed Stanley in the pits or followed Richard in the pits, but I just tried something different, because I knew the difference between second and third really wouldn't matter. I was going for the win, see if I could pull something off, and still came away with third. But yeah, the long run strategy there on the long race, the second half was not the move, but it was all right. Still got third, happy with that.
You mentioned the long run not being the move. We can see it up here with the times being different, but how much more difficult was it to drive these cars once you got laps on those tires?
It was tough, and I expected to have a bigger advantage on the long run when I did the long run and then long pitted, and then I thought that second half I'd be a lot faster in that run, but it really never came to. I actually almost felt worse at the end of the race just from pushing really hard for those couple laps instead of saving just the slightest bit. So it was tough. I mean, this track being so big, you don't think a 12, 13 lap run is much, but it's really big, so the tires burn off real quick, and it's tough. These cars, I'm used to driving the Cup cars a lot in the Elite Racing League, and those things you don't have to save tire hardly at all, and in these you're really crawling around trying to save the rears. They burn up pretty quick, which makes it fun, but challenging at the same time. And I'm terrible at saving tires, so it hurts me a little bit, but we had the speed, pulled off a good finish, so I'm happy with it.
Definitely a grueling event here tonight. Trevor, do you have anything you want to ask Ryan?
The only thing that I really had was exactly what you noticed with those tires and the tire wear that really started to accentuate there out of that one. If you could just flash it back to that first half where you had such a good run out of that one. Was there a difference that you had in saving the tires, strategically speaking, that led you to have such a good run out of that first half compared to the second one, where you did find yourself not quite in as good of a position to fight for the lead?
Yeah, it was tough because the first half was really straightforward. You know, we started where we were on speed, and I tried to keep my pace with Stanley, and I felt like I was doing pretty good. I was within a second and a half or two most of the time. I made one little mistake and spun the tires and heated them up and just lost touch with them, and that was kind of that. But then the second half, it's a lot tougher because you're trying to, you know, mitigate saving tires versus trying to get through these guys that started in front of you that aren't as fast, that are still hard to pass. Not of their own wrongdoing, but you're making mistakes and sliding them in and driving in deep, trying to pass them while saving tire at the same time. So it's a tough balance there. And then, you know, staying out long, I thought that, you know, coming in and only having to do 8 or 9 laps, I could push pretty hard and gain a ton of time possibly, but they burnt off so quick. And I was literally, I pitted 2 laps after Richard, and I was running, you know, after 4 or 5 laps, he was running faster laps than me. And partially because of me making a couple little mistakes, and the tire wear at the same time, that I just didn't manage them as good. But I don't think it would have made a difference. I was finishing third no matter what with that strategy that I pulled there. But yeah, it was tough. It was tough. That starting at the rear for the second half really made it interesting. It would have been just a kind of a repeat of the first race if we, you know, just didn't do that or had a smaller invert. So made it interesting and fun. And, you know, I'm glad I pulled the strategy I did, even though it maybe cost me a spot.
Yeah, you got to try something. One more question from me here before we go to shoutouts here. Obviously, a rough week at Daytona. Wasn't racing last week due to suspension, so the points outlook not going to be too pretty for you at the moment. But now you have a great week under your belt. What's your goal for this season? Do you think you're going to be fighting for a championship here?
Yeah, I do. I know it was a tough start there. I'll have to see how the points fan out after this one. I know this will help a lot, get me back up there. I mean, I ran really well at Daytona, and results weren't there because of 2 last lap mistakes and getting caught up in, you know, the big ones. And, you know, having to dig out of that hole on its own, never mind now missing Homestead's going to be tough. But I know owners points-wise, Scott Crump filled in for me last week. That was good that he was able to do that. So thanks to Scott, of course. He pulled off a first and a second. So that, I think, put the one car in the top of the owners points, which finished in second, third tonight. I think we should extend our owners points lead. Hopefully get back up there in the drivers. This will be a big boost. So yeah, expectations, run for a championship. I mean, a lot of tracks on the schedule I really like. I'm still trying to figure out this Xfinity car on the ovals. And, you know, next week, it'll be my first real test on a normal oval with these guys and with this competition. So curious to see how it goes. It's going to be a good time. Looks like, where are we? Darlington next week. Oh God. So I'm terrible at saving tires. So maybe that won't be too great, but there's a couple tracks on there that I know that'll be a good time. And I'm confident in making the playoffs and running for a championship for sure.
Well, we look forward to seeing what you're doing. Before we let you go here, do you have anybody you want to shout out? Anybody you want to thank here?
Yeah, definitely a big shout out to all the shift guys here on the team, everyone for letting me be a part of this great team and driving this one car. It's been a good last 2 weeks, that's for sure, but hopefully we can carry this success on. I know the rest of the team had pretty decent runs overall tonight. Thanks to you guys up in the booth. You guys put on a really good broadcast. Thanks for all the fine people that run the league, of course. And yeah, just glad to be back, ready to keep rolling.
All right, well, we're looking forward to see what you do the rest of the season here. Maybe we'll talk to you again next week, and have a good night.
Yeah, let's plan on it. Thank you, guys.
All right, that was Ryan Gavel, third place in the second half, second in the first half. All right, we're going to bring up here our second place finisher from this half, Richard Garcia, and I'm going to hand this one over to you, Trevor.
Oh boy.
All right, we have Richard Garcia in here, finishing second place in the second half and third place in the first half. All right, Trevor, on over to you.
The biggest question, obviously, that's going to come out of this one first and foremost, Garcia, is looking at what happened out of that last half. There was a point in time where there was so much competition and so much contestation with Austin Beers on your front bumper. Just talk me through that. What was that like, being in that position, not able to quite make that pass?
Yeah, I mean, we had a really good start there on the second half. Made it up, I guess, to P2 right there. And then the moment I got to Austin's bumper, my rear tires were just shot. And I was struggling to hang on, watching Ethan trying to manage that gap. And he was he was making his way up there fast and just hanging on. Really couldn't really. I tried to make a move down in one, and the rear just stepped out and almost ended the night there. But yeah, it was difficult to keep those rear tires on that Repsol Eisen Designs Ford Mustang this evening.
Yeah, obviously a lot of difficulty maneuvering around that one. We just heard how much of the tire wear really affected the performance out there on the tracks tonight. But after what happened when you did get up to Austin's bumper, you're watching Stanley in the rear view. At what point did understanding that you couldn't quite make that pass, Stanley was coming, did that affect or change your pit strategy at all at that point?
It did to a degree. I was probably gonna pit the same lap that Ethan did, and then once he pitted, I knew that the only way I had a shot against him was to extend my run and try to catch him with fresher tires. He was a rocket tonight, and he drove very well. He deserves both wins.
Certainly watched him doing pretty well out there in the front, but no slouch yourself. They give credit to you for how well you moved through the traffic there at the start of that second half. What was that after the invert? Was that anything challenging for you, or what difficulties did you face after the invert trying to get yourself back up to the front?
Yeah, it was a very big challenge. Trying to, be clean and make those passes, but also, again, try to gap Ryan and Ethan while I made my way up there. Excuse me. But yeah, it was pretty chaotic. It was a lot of fun though. I'll give you that. Battling those guys, trying to move up from, I don't even know where I started, 20 something up to P2. But yeah, it was a challenge to make it through those traffic, but we did it clean, which is my first goal.
I certainly saw some of these guys rubbing and banging against each other going through that traffic, but glad you made it out of that one. I just got one more question before I pass you off there, Cherry. Once you got into your position towards the end of the race, you got yourself up into P2. You're watching the interval drop a second, give or take, every single lap. Was there any point that you were confidently in a position you were going to be able to catch up to Ethan, or was it just a conservation for you to maintain second?
I would like to say I thought I had a shot, but looking at gaining a second, but I was on the flaps. I was 7 seconds behind and still gaining a second, but there was only 6 laps to go. So realistically, it was just about maintaining what I had over Ryan, knowing that he was going to go long, and knowing his tire advantage at the end, but didn't seem to materialize for whatever reason. That just really, like I said, turned into managing what I had, keeping it on the black, and bringing it home in the Repsol Eisen Designs 57 Ford Mustang.
A smart move there to at least put yourself in that position, walk away with some pretty good points. Nathaniel, you got anything?
All right, yeah, Richard. You didn't race last week, but at Daytona we interviewed you, and we're interviewing you here. So you must be feeling pretty good about the start of your season.
Yeah, Daytona, I kind of view as an outlier. It's more about surviving than, as bad as it sounds, than actual talent sometimes. But yeah, tonight was really great to come home and with podiums in both races. Really looking forward to the rest of the season and seeing where that goes, pending travel plans of my own. So we'll see, but I am hopeful that we can be here for almost every other week.
That's awesome. We look forward to seeing what you can do. Before we let you go, do you have any shout-outs that you want to give?
Just the old Eisen Designs. Gotta love them.
Awesome. All right, well, have a great night, Richard. It was great seeing you run up front tonight, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys. See you next week.
It was Richard Garcia, 2 podiums tonight, and now we will bring up the man who put on an absolute clinic, Ethan Stanley, absolutely showing the entire field how it's done. Ethan, you're filling in for Tim. This is your debut on the season. How was that tonight?
I don't think it could have went any better than that. It was just all about saving the tires, and was just able to stay out front.
Yeah, you definitely controlled the field once you got up front. I was going to ask you, was there any moment of nervousness about getting up through the field in the second half, or were you in control that entire time?
I wasn't too nervous getting through the field. definitely felt the pressure though in the second half with Richard chasing me down. Just I don't think it was enough. I think he should have put it like a couple laps earlier. He might have had a closer chance at it, but definitely a good race. Glad strategy played out the way it did.
Yeah. So I guess how did it come to fruition that you were in the car tonight? How did Tim get in contact with you?
I didn't get in contact with him at all. I contacted Vic and was like, "Hey, is there a ride tonight?" I've been looking to join the league for at least a couple races, and figured this would be a good one to start with. So yeah, kind of a last minute thing, but I'm pretty happy that I got in it.
So we have Vic to thank for, or the drivers have Vic to thank for some newbie coming in and absolutely destroying them tonight.
Yeah, I mean, half the drivers here already know who I am, so
Yes, that's true. From other
not too-
leagues, yes. But,
yeah.
All right, Trevor, you have anything for Ethan here?
I mean, you talk about just not being nervy at all, having to drive through after the invert, but as soon as green flag drops and we're going stripe to stripe on the front stretch, is that at any point something where you start to check up and are terrified for the own well-being of your car?
Oh yeah, turn one, you take it really easy. Brake early. I think I went 3 wide into the turn one on that restart. On the start. I'm not sure though. But yeah, definitely nervy in there. But once you get past the first lap, it kind of settles down and you can start making passes.
Yeah, you made those passes look pretty easy going through the traffic, all the way up to the point where you got to P3, watching the battle for first and second. What was going through your mind watching Austin Beers and Richard Garcia trying to pass up each other, trying to just fight for that position while you're just constantly gaining on them?
Oh, I was looking in front of me thinking, man, this is going to be hard to pass. So went for the undercut. I can thank Kynan for that. He gave me that suggestion. But it made the undercut, and it gave me a lot of time, and that was about it.
Yeah, once you came out of the pits there, you had a 10-second gap once Garcia finally decided to pit, and it was pretty much lights out from that point on. The undercut definitely was very important here. Before we let you go and enjoy the rest of your night here, do you have anybody you want to thank?
Just big thanks to the weekend Woodsmen guys. Big thanks to you guys for doing the broadcast, and thanks to Vic and everybody else that makes the league run.
All right, well, hopefully we'll see you again this season. You never know, there might be another opportunity. I'm sure the drivers would enjoy it if there's a bit more competition the next time that you're here. But thank you for coming up, and thank you for showing up tonight and putting on a hell of a show, and we'll see you around, Ethan.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, that was Ethan Stanley. Absolutely put on a clinic tonight, as we've mentioned several times. What a good night of racing. Honestly, mostly clean. There's a couple battles up and down the field, but the story of the night was that number 35 car. Trevor, how did you enjoy your first night in the booth?
I had a blast, man. Watching a good race out of that, and obviously, I hope that Ethan adds that to his LinkedIn, the owner of Suzuka and sub of the year, because the performance he put on was fantastic. We had good competition throughout. We had a lot of good passes, a lot of good racing through traffic, and at the end of the night, when the best drivers got out front, they really cemented themselves as the best. I can't complain.
Carlos, do you have anything you want to add here?
A fantastic job by all the drivers. Pretty much, it was a very exciting race in general, not just for a handful of laps. There was racing throughout the whole track. It was very fun, especially for a first time the league goes here. And a fantastic job to you guys. You guys did a fantastic job in the broadcast.
It was nice to talk with you tonight, Trevor. You are easy to work with, which is it is a high compliment, especially when
I
we've
appreciate that.
Just called you
never
easy.
met before. Okay. All right, let's
I'm
stop
not
the
gonna argue.
broadcast. Let's stop the broadcast before we end up on the wrong website here. All right, thank you everyone for coming and watching this three-wide racing broadcast here of the 2024 OSCA Weekend Woodsman Series from Suzuka. For Trevor McNeil, Carlos Acosta, I'm Nathaniel Cherry. Have a great night, and we'll see you next week for Darlington.